Let's go dash.
In this episode, Ranze faces off in a duel against the first member that we see of the Machine Cavalry Club, and it's pretty interesting. Good duel anyway. Hey, my name is Rex, and let's talk about episode 29 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. This one starts off with apparently the main group, at least. Everybody else went off. The main group, at least, is stuck because apparently there's a bunch of there's a huge moat dug around their camp, around their cabin, so they got no way of getting out. And apparently it's even worse because all their food's gone. Of course, it was all Luke's fault, but they decide to send Kaizo to go get Sebastian for help because Sebastian's over at an office with like the overseer of the camp. So they're like, okay, cool, we've got our way out, and you know, makes sense, especially with Kaizo being able to fly. But of course, Ranze and Runosuke are on their way to the camp. So Gakuto says, hey, you know, if all else fails, they're here, they're on their way, maybe. And so now we catch up with Ranze and Runosuke, who actually, you know, they're the main focus of the episode, which of course is great. I like those characters, I like seeing them a bunch. And you know, what's also great, they're running through the forest, or Naruto running through the forest, because of course they are, it's so good. But, and they're just talking with each other, and through their dialogue, you find some more interesting things. For one thing, Ranze observes Yuga from afar quite a bit, and has a crush on him, it seems like. So, you know, a lot of pieces going on, especially what I kind of said with last episode, how things kind of played out between Yuga and Asana. It wasn't, you know, specifically anything going on there, but it just looked, it was an interesting interaction they had. And so now seeing also how Ranze thinks of Yuga is just more interesting pieces being placed into everyone's relationships with each other. But they stumble across some of the Machine Cavalry Club who are digging things up. There's a really deep voiced guy there who seems like an adult, but when they interact with him, when they catch up with him, they find out he's actually the same grade as them, same age as them. Of course, you know, it's a funny thing, and he talks all deep too, and he talks like an old man, which again, you know, just some great things going on. Again, I mean, we've got Mimi in the series who legitimately is like 37 but looks the same age as everyone, so now we get someone who looks older but is, you know, is a kid like the rest of them. So they face off in a duel, and for this duel, you know, Ranze and Runosuke don't really want to duel. They just kind of want to be on their way, even running into these people who they know are, you know, probably some bad news. But the stakes for the duel are set up because Galient, that's his name, the guy, he says, you know, if they win, if he wins this duel, then they'll join them. And of course they say, you know, as if we'd ever agreed to that, but then he kind of continues taunting them, saying, oh, you know, that as if you guys, you know, would accept it. You know, you guys are, you know, from that 7th elementary school where, you know, that Yuga is, who invented rush duels. And of course, you know, they're not, there's that tension building up. And so Ranze steps up, and again, because especially how he was kind of mocking Yuga, and especially they knew that something was going on, they knew that they had done something. You know, I don't think in the episode they straight up say it, but that moat that was dug around the camp in the beginning of the episode, pretty obviously it was this group. You know, maybe not them, well, maybe like the Machine Cavalry Club as a whole, but they were responsible for it, for stranding them there for at least most of the day. And so, of course, you know, Ranze wants to duel, you know, for them, and to hopefully take them out, get some answers. And it's a pretty good duel. It's relatively short, but of course, you know, we're getting to see Ranze duel, and getting to see what kind of deck she uses is pretty great. First off, she's playing defensively, but then we get to see she uses a lot of flower monsters, while, of course, Galient is using a bunch of machine monsters, drill monsters especially. He's got a crazy boss monster, which actually has an effect that for every machine monster on his side of the field can flip or can change defense position monsters to attack position and change their attack to 0, which is pretty powerful. Although the monster itself has like 1700 attacks, so that sort of balances out. But even still, especially with the play that Ranze made during her first turn. So, you know, there's some back and forth. Ranze's able to survive till the next turn. And during this duel, of course, Galient is kind of even more He's liking the duel though, and he at one point he lets them in on some information, or at least he just kind of tells them a bit about the Machine Cavalry Club, or at least even like the Goha 6 Elementary as a whole, saying that it's a very elite school and that they really value traditional duels, and because of that they don't like rush duels. So interesting thing going on there. You know, I didn't even mention that during this duel, Galient, the man's is on a dual dozer, in that, like, you know, it has this dual disc there, and of course, you know, it starts off with the 5 zones and shrinks to 3 zones. You know, at the beginning he said something like, you know, in order to fight rush duels, you got to use rush duels, even though again he doesn't like rush duels, as you know, very likely obviously the rest of Goha 6 and the Machine Cavalry Club doesn't like them and wants to get rid of them. So things, you know, those things are getting set up at least, and you know, it's kind of interesting that we're getting just even more information about like Goha 6 as a whole. But I guess that makes even more sense because, you know, in terms of like the antagonists for the series, it makes sense for them to be like, you know, a higher up score, like, you know, not snooty, but like they think of themselves higher than at least, you know, people who rush duel, and especially the people who invented and the people who brought it to the forefront and are promoting it the most, which is the Rush Duel Club and everyone associated with them. So there's that setup. But as the duel continues, we get to see Ranze's ace monster. Forget the name, but it's a cool flower monster, and you know, she's doing pretty well. Even switching at one point, switching all his monsters to defense position and then attacking through it with Greater Piercing, which is also good to see that card come back again, Greater Piercing. And she's able to deal a good amount of damage but not win it. However, very unexpectedly, on Galient's turn, he ends up defeating her. And I thought she was gonna win based on, you know, everything going on. You think, okay, you know, this is gonna be like a good first interaction, Ranze's first duel. She's gonna win and they're gonna save everybody, but that just doesn't happen. And you remember then the stakes that they had kind of set up, or at least what Galient had said, and he comes to them, he says, you know, welcome to the Machine Cavalry Club, which I mean, I was shocked there. So, and unfortunately, too bad too, because, you know, I really liked Ranze and Renosuke being in this episode, you know, seeing them talk with each other more so, which is good. And I was like, okay, cool, they get to be along for the training camp, but I guess not. And then especially at the end of the episode, the people who end up saving Yuga and friends is the Machine Cavalry Club led by Galient, and he, you know, of course, used their dozers to rescue them. I guess even kind of playing that side as if like, oh, we weren't the ones that dug up or didn't even mention that. And Gakuto kind of asked them, he's like, hey, by chance you didn't see 2 people on their way here? Of course, referring to Ranze and Renosuke. And Galient's like, no, haven't seen them. So they're not kidnapped. Well, I guess effectively kidnapped. But I'm not gonna like this. That's not good. You know, when are they gonna show up again? If they do show up again, they're probably gonna be pitted against, you know, against the main group. Very obviously, or not obviously, but likely, they're gonna be pitted against Gakuto, of course, but being forced by the Machine Cavalry Club in order to duel for them. I don't like this. It's good. It's so good. But I don't, not that I don't like the episode. It was a great episode. But I don't like this idea that that Ranze and Renosuke are effectively captured, or at least on the enemy side for now. Sort of against their will or better judgment. Oh my gosh. And of course, you know, Kaizo, throughout most of the episode had been arguing with Sebastian. They ended up just not rescuing them because, you know, they just got into fights. It was, you know, it's good seeing the interaction between those two, and it's pretty funny. And they kind of it seems like they resolved some of their differences at the end after beating each other up, or after having a good fight. You know, I guess it's a good way to understand people or other robots. But man, okay, so this is gonna set a lot going forward after this episode, because again, you know, just in terms of how much of a threatening force the Machine Cavalry Club is seeming like in the series. Out of like all episodes, this one has left me so conflicted and so like just at a loss for what to think or what to say, but it was good. Unfortunately, I would like to okay, Ranze's obviously going to get some redemption later on. Especially because, you know, she wants to help everybody. Obviously, she wants to help out Gakuto. She wants to help out Yuga. But now that she's being kind of forced by the Machine Cavalry Club on their side. But I can't wait for that whatever episode that comes in where she does get her redemption. She does hopefully get freed from this. But I mean, just overall great episode. I did enjoy it. Like I said, I really liked more character development for Ranze. Again, just unfortunate. The ending. What happened? Like I said, I'm at a loss for it. But if you're not at a loss for it, if you can formulate, I guess, your anger or something into words, you can leave a comment below, and we'll continue the discussion down there. Oh, I'm genuinely interested. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of this episode? It's pretty crazy. But anyway, if you enjoyed it, also remember to leave a like and subscribe to continue showing your support. Anyway, this has been Rex. I gotta sit down and think, man. This is pretty insane. But have a nice day.